Okay. We should be all right now. How's it going? Is everybody doing all right? So first things first. Here, I'll drop this. First things first. Trying something different with OBS. So the video quality is going to fluctuate wildly, and the idea there is that we shouldn't drop any frames because it's changing the bit rate, or in a basic sense, the quality of the video, to keep up with the internet connection. So please, please forgive if it's really pixely. Again, there's no getting around this terrible internet. So this is the only way I can stream, and I hope you're okay with that. And if not, that's okay. You know, you can skip it. That's fine. I understand. But yeah, here we are. Welcome to the stream. First of all, it's been a little while. I think it's been a couple weeks at least. Yeah, I mean, we have a few different things to talk about. So seems like a good time to do another stream. Also, it's Friday, so hopefully other people will have a chance to stop in and say hello and have a chat about a few different recent happenings related to animation specifically, and just entertainment and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do, but we'll start slow as always. Just have a chat for a while, you know, and go from there. So yeah, hope that sounds good to you. Purple is here. Welcome back, Purple. Thank you so much once again for coming to the stream. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well. Yeah, I've been doing okay also, I think. Just pretty typical stuff. Just sort of busy weekday things going on. Happy to be done with all that. And then working on a few different things. It was actually kind of an active week for the channel in terms of videos and stuff. So there was a lot of work going on there too. And I have a few other videos kind of, you know, planned out. So we'll see how those go. But yeah, those will be more focused on animation stuff. I haven't decided yet whether or not it's really worth talking specifically about the Mario movie business going on. I feel like no, and especially with all the talking we're going to be doing about it here in the stream, I kind of feel like it's a non-issue. Like it's not really worth it to do a whole big video. Plus, all of like Nintendo Tube, all of the Nintendo YouTubers are covering it a whole lot, and it's kind of getting annoying already. So like, I don't really want to add to that. Purple says, well, what did you name the hippos? I haven't decided yet. In fact, I haven't checked back on that. Well, it wasn't a poll, but just a suggestion box post on the channel page where I said, name the characters. So yeah, I'm interested to see what people came up with. But I don't know. I don't think I'm very good at naming characters in general, or like the names of fictional towns and things. It's never really been a strong suit of mine for some reason. But here, we'll make that chat a little bit larger. We're going to change things around as we need it here throughout the stream. So yeah. Sorry, my hair looks kind of stupid too. I was washing it up and now it looks bad. Anyway, but yes, very happy to have made it to the end of the week. I'll probably end up working on videos through the weekend. I was going to say unfortunately, but that's not unfortunate. I'm excited about the ideas for the video, so that should be okay. And yeah, I'm trying to kind of throw myself into the fall mood, the autumnal vibes lately. Even though we're really not getting that kind of weather because we're in California. But yeah, even when I was doing some research for that video on the ambiance videos, there's so many videos that specialize in the area of like fall stuff, pumpkins, cornfields, trick or treating, witches, etc. Um, so yeah, it's definitely just a favorite in general, isn't it? Um, but yeah, how about you, Purple? Do you get into any like the Halloween stuff? I've never been a big fan of Halloween personally, but I also don't want to. I don't want to bash it. I don't want to ruin it for people who do really enjoy it. And I've come to enjoy it more and more, I think, as time has gone on. Despite the fact that, like, obviously I'm not going around and trick or treating anymore. That was a pretty good deal when it was a thing now. Um, but yeah, do you care about that? Do you do Halloween parties? Do you do general autumn things? Like, I mean, what do we do? There's baking of certain baked goods, pumpkin flavored things. Apple pie is a good fall thing. Corn mazes. We used to have a bunch of corn mazes when I was growing up. And I really liked those. If you find a good corn maze, it's genuinely challenging and kind of creepy too, to be lost in a giant maze. What else do people do? Bobbing for apples is that a Halloween party activity? I don't like that at all. But yeah, when I was growing up, I did not like Halloween one bit. Really, I like the trick or treating part for obvious reasons. But beyond that, not really my thing, specifically because of the whole costume component of Halloween, which is what so many people like about it. I don't like or care about costumes. I guess in a detached sense, I have like an appreciation for people who can do, create really good costumes or like cosplay in a more general sense. That's cool. It's not something that I'm good at or that I'm invested in. But especially as a kid, I didn't want to dress up or anything. I didn't care. I just wanted to wander around and get candy. And yeah, there was always the stress of like, do I go with store-bought Halloween costumes, and those were always terrible, or do I do a homemade costume that might be bad, and I just have to hope that all my classmates and everybody is cool with it, or like if I'm going trick-or-treating, I just have to hope everybody knows what I am, because if you have to explain your costume, it's just way too much across dozens of different houses and such. Um, anyway, so yeah, I was not a big fan at all. Purple says I never celebrated the holiday. My parents just bought us candy. Well, I mean that works too, doesn't it? I guess it does have a similar effect. I don't know though. I mean, there is definitely something fun about actually getting out there in the world, especially as a kid with very few responsibilities, and just like, oh, you're set loose, go, don't get kidnapped or anything. And of course, for oh my gosh, for just about every single year, and this was probably happening long before my time, but there was always so much discussion, both at school and at home, and definitely on the news and stuff like that, about all the different dangers of Halloween for children. Aside from like stranger danger stuff, you just have like the stories of people poisoning candy, which I still don't know whether that's something that actually happened in the real world at any point in time. If someone was like injecting Snickers, fun-size Snicker bars with some kind of poison, I don't know. And like, would you get found out for that? I feel like yes. Because, right? As the children who get poisoned. Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's that. But yeah, it's kind of funny though now, because I have friends who still get into like costume party stuff, and whatever. Oh, I should do a costume. And I always get told that I can do all these different costumes. Anything that's like a white guy with blonde hair. So Tintin, Vault Boy from the Fallout series, I think is okay. I feel like I could maybe be one of the kids next door, although I kind of don't remember their names offhand. But I just don't. I don't know. Haven't made the costume dive. I haven't gotten there yet. Purple says, and don't eat a razor blade. Yeah, that was the other, like, what if there's someone out there who could have, like, effectively gotten not a whole razor blade, but I guess like fragments of a razor blade into some candy bars or so, like, I would be impressed on a certain level. I don't think that sounds very practical. It would be a whole lot of work. I mean, what you could also do, like, the chewing tobacco thing and put like fiberglass, right? We shouldn't be thinking up ways to, like, do harm to people eating candy, but you know, there are things you could do. But yeah, I don't know, like metal shards, like if you really ground something down, I guess maybe, but like then what? Can't put that in a peanut M&M. You can't put that in a Reese's peanut butter cup without somebody noticing, right? Because you always know. You look at a Reese's cup and you're like, it has to be pristine. And the wrapper has to be all the way around and tight. Oh, wow, look, we already got spam. We already got a porn bot. Is that a good sign for the stream? Does that mean we're very popular? Yeah, hang on. I'm just gonna keep, I don't know. Oh, wow, a lot. We're getting a lot. Is anyone interested in probably fake identity theft? Pornographic services? And then I'll report one of them. Yeah, unfortunately, the tools they give you for, like, taking care of this stuff in the YouTube stream is not very good. Certain timeout. Okay, they should be gone. Still shows here, but don't you worry. We'll get those out of the way once the chat really gets going. Anyway, so yeah, fall stuff is going on. It's California, so we don't get all the fun, you know, color palettes and such with the trees. But it's still very nice, and it does get cooler and everything. There are still tons of tractor rides and stuff. That's definitely something we did a bunch as kids. Was you go out to somebody's farm and do a tractor ride, and they would have, like, you know, like, what do you even call them? Like lawn decorations, like life-size figures and skeletons and creepy people and stuff. I don't think they ever had, like, real people doing parts of scary monsters and things. That would have been cool. I don't even know if I ever went to, like, a haunted house. Ever. They were around. I remember seeing them and stuff, and especially in high school, that was, like, the cool thing to do. But yeah, I don't know. I never really got into that stuff. And Purple rightly says that Halloween movies are cool too. Yeah, in fact, they are, and I've been looking for more lately. I was rewatching the Haunted Mansion movie with Eddie Murphy recently, which I actually really like. It's stupid and it's very much of its time, but it's actually a pretty good movie. They have some great effects in certain sequences. They're fun ideas. It only gets too scary on a couple occasions. Anyway, long story short, I've been looking for more Halloween movies and stuff to watch. Halloween Town is one of them. Yeah, thank you for mentioning Purple. Which I was kind of underwhelmed by. Like, going back to that one didn't feel all that special. It just kind of felt like, oh, nothing happens in this movie. There's so much lead up to get there in the first place. And then it's like, there's a bad guy or something. I don't know. And then it's just kind of over. Anyway, but yeah, speaking of, like, current stuff, and we're not quite to Mario and the other Disney things going on with Little Mermaid, but I did watch Hocus Pocus 2. So we can talk about that for a while. Because, yeah, I've seen a little bit of other people's reactions to the movie online. I haven't seen any big, like, in-depth reviews quite yet. I haven't gotten there. But yeah, personally, for one thing, I didn't grow up with the original movie. I guess it was around. I just had never watched it, or maybe I watched it once and I just don't remember. Lots of my friends grew up with it. They're very familiar with it, like it a lot. I didn't care about it at all. I watched it maybe like a year or two ago for the first time, and even then I wasn't really paying attention. So I'm not like a diehard um, Hocus Pocus fan. uh, but I went ahead and watched the sequel. It was on Disney Plus. I think I watched it again with a friend. No, I just watched it the one time. Um, but I just it's not great. And maybe one of the only things that makes it interesting to talk about within the context of like contemporary Disney is that it's not a remake, it's a sequel to an older movie. They don't really do that as much anymore. There was a huge wave of like belated animated, specifically animated Disney sequels, right? There was Pocahontas 2, we had Lion King 2, we had Cinderella 2 and 3. Cinderella 3 is very good. And other ones that I'm not remembering. And they don't seem to do that anymore. Pixar is definitely still doing it soon. They did Monsters University. So it was the thing at one time for Disney. Haven't done it in a while. So it's not a remake. And I guess I appreciate that. And it makes sense because the biggest thing about the original movie, as far as I can tell, is that everybody just loves the cast. Everybody loves the sisters. And that's it. They love the performances. We got Bette Midler there. And Sarah Jessica Parker, and I forget the other woman's name. Anyway, so yeah, big, loud performances, very showy, almost theatrical in a certain sense. And so it made sense in a way. Go ahead, make a sequel, because then you can get that cast back. If they were doing a remake, all of those roles would be recast. That said, it's not a good movie at all. It's really not very good. It's really not very good. It's too long. The structure is like loose at best. It's very soupy. They just kind of hop from one smaller conflict to another small conflict. Not super enticing at any stage. Not a ton of fun ideas. Just a couple things that I guess they felt that they needed to include. There are plenty of references to the first movie. There's some meta elements happening there. But yeah, it's just not very good. And from what I've seen online, a lot of the like aggregate scores and stuff for critics, audience, whatever, just random users, it's been pretty negative. So I guess in a way that gives me hope that people are, able to really notice when something just doesn't feel compelling and it doesn't feel like they did a very good job on it. That said, there is a cereal. I saw a cereal the other day in the store for Hocus Pocus 2. But I don't even know what kind of cereal it was. Was it like a version of Fruity Loops or something like that? I didn't buy it though. It was a little pricey. Anyway, Shay says, can't wait for Trick or Treat to be in theaters for the first time. First of all, hey Shady, how's it going? Thank you so much for coming to the stream. And if I remember correctly, Trick or Treat, that's the anthology movie, right? And it's the director who did the Dr. Sleep movie. Yes? Am I right about this? Anyway, so it's getting a theatrical run? I hadn't heard about this. Yeah, 2007. I'm pretty sure this is the one I'm thinking of. Michael Dougherty. Yep. Yes. Well, that's really cool. Yeah, I only saw... it took me a long time to see Trick or Treat. I think it was maybe a year or two ago-ish. But yeah, just searching that gives me showtimes for a couple different theaters out here. So there you go. But that's a great idea. I mean, kind of in the vein of Christmas movies, Halloween movies can become classics even if they're not the most incredible thing ever. And I'm not talking about Trick or Treat specifically because it is a very good movie. But yeah, if it has that kind of cult following, or if it becomes just sort of a seasonal holiday tradition for a lot of people, it gets kind of grandfathered in and it has this really sustained lifespan, But yeah, in general, I really like when they take just previously released movies and give them a theatrical run. And in this case, yeah, that would be a fun time. I'll have to see. The theaters it's given me here are kind of far, so who knows? Maybe someone nearby is doing something with it. I could check Tarantino's theater as well, because I haven't been there in a while. But they usually have some very good programming for the holiday. Please forgive the helicopter in the background. Also. Yeah, they're doing Scream and Scooby-Doo double feature. Okay. Wicker Man, 1973. My gosh, sorry. Need to drink some more water. And Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were-Rabbit. That would be fun. That would be a fun one. I might do that. That's a couple weeks from now. But yeah, that's awesome. Are you going to go see it, Shady? Is there some place nearby where you can check that one out? Ooh, Picnic at Hanging Rock. I have to stop looking at this, but yeah, they do some really good stuff at that theater. Should I do a display capture here? Yeah, let's try that. Hang on just a second. I'll rearrange a couple things. Yeah, and then we will move ahead to talking about some of that other movie news I wanted to get to. Where should I? How about I put this over here, and I'll make my videos much smaller because I don't care about that. Okay. Wallace and Gromit is horror. I mean, it's in a matinee slot, so it's for the kids. You know, it's probably like a Saturday. Yeah, it's the kiddie showing. But I get that. That works. Also, just the title is fashioned after some old, B horror movies and stuff. So that makes sense. The annual horror show is sold out. Darn. Cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd like to see Trick or Treat in a theater. Reanimator for a midnight showing. That would be pretty fun. Did I see Reanimator in a theater? I don't remember. Beetlejuice. Okay. There you go. And The Exorcist. I'm not a big fan of The Exorcist, actually. William Friedkin is A-okay. I like some of his other movies, but just not really my thing. And some of the performances are not my favorite. So, but yeah, it's a classic, it's all right. Dracula Dead and Loving It. Oh, no. But yeah, Picnic at Hanging Rock. If you guys haven't seen it, it feels a lot like Twin Peaks before Twin Peaks. Very specific vibe, great sense of I don't know, impending doom or something. But it's a Peter Weir movie from I forget which year. Mad Monster Party? ? I don't know what that is. Cool. Yeah, pretty good lineup, though. Garbage Pail Kids. All right. Really wanted to see the Beetlejuice musical, but I don't think it's coming to the UK. Really? At all? Maybe does that mean it just hasn't been performing very well? Because usually, I mean, come on. Really, the UK is a very strong theater scene, obviously. And a lot of shows start out their runs there, so that's a little bit confusing to me. I had heard about the show. I haven't seen it, of course. I don't see a lot of live shows. But yeah, obviously just sounds like a good time. Nothing super heavy, Why did I wasn't trying to click that, but there you go. Body Double is showing tomorrow. Cool. All right. Well, shall we then? Shall we start talking about Mario? Does anyone care to talk about Mario? I mean, I will anyway, but I don't know. I don't know how invested or not invested people are in this whole thing. Because personally, I've mostly not cared about the Mario movie adaptation. And especially after the famous casting announcements. It seemed that all hope was lost. It just didn't. It sounded like a very uncreative Hollywood movie, or specifically an uncreative Illumination movie. And now that we've gotten the first teaser trailer, and it really, I don't know, it's a little fleshed out for a teaser, but it is still a teaser. Um, most of the internet seems to be coming around. Most of the internet seems to be going, okay, sure. let's see what you got, guys. In fact, right here we can see Arlo's video saying that it looks pretty good, and that's been a general sentiment. But yeah, we just have to have a chat about it. Purple says, I assume, if no one is watching, do you still talk kind of like the fridge light when you close the door? Not for very long. I mean, I also don't track stuff. I don't track the stream second by second, you know? But yeah, there are definitely times when it'll be like just nobody for a while. But no, if it's that for any prolonged amount of time, no. There's not really a point in streaming. So I guess that's the answer. Anyway, yeah, so it's time to talk about trailer. First of all, has anyone else seen the trailer already? Obviously, it's picking up plenty of traction online. They had sort of an awkward reveal in a Nintendo Direct, like a really tiny one, where they had Chris Meledandri of Illumination, and then they had Chris Pratt talk for a while, and then Jack Black talk for a second. And then they showed the trailer, and then it was like, okay, goodbye. Bye, we're done. And real quick, I wanted to comment on, because obviously a lot of people have been very hesitant about the Chris Pratt casting, right? Because he's not the most versatile performer. He's a solid performer. He's done some good work, but yeah, a lot of people were concerned about that. And it was very strange because his little interview, I don't know, talking head segment that they had in this little trailer reveal thing. Thank you, motorcycle. I watched it because of the stream. I didn't even know it was out. Yeah, don't worry. I mean, I'm not like worried about people having seen it already, because I don't even know if I would be able to play it without getting a copyright claim, but we'll see. Anyway, Chris Pratt's doing his little talking head piece, and it came across as so awkward. I don't know if it was just planned at the last second or something. And he's obviously just in like a room in his house, I assume. It's just on like a webcam. And even just the way that he was talking about it was so like, didn't get a lot of energy. He seemed to really be searching for the right words. I was like, what is this? Like, he's a professional actor. I feel like he should be able to handle this. Anyway, it just came across as a little bit awkward. And I absolutely knew that Jack Black was going to be the other person to talk because, I mean, yeah, he's a fan favorite. He's also been involved in video games in the past. He's a pretty, like, vocal video game player, fan, etc. So that made sense to me. His segment was fine. I don't know, like, it's whatever. It's Jack Black. He's okay. But yeah, then we got the trailer itself. As I already said, people seem to really be coming around on it. And personally, yeah, I haven't quite made any big judgments. And yes, as Shady mentions, this is very hard to avoid. It's apparently #1 trending thing right now, even though, did Nintendo even do an official upload? Because I just see 8 or 10 different sites, or channels rather, uploading the trailer. So maybe that means we wouldn't get a copyright claim. So that's cool. Should we risk it? Should we watch little bits? I mean, I also want to go like frame by frame for some of the segments, but should we watch a bit and see if we get a copyright claim? Why not, right? The stakes are low. I think it's going to be okay. And then let me just real quick check what the audio levels are like on this video. Okay. Also, just in terms of like how the trailer itself is cut, assembled, all that, very standard, especially like sound effects and stuff, and the bits of music. It's like basically just horn blasts. Not great, very standard. I wasn't able to find who edited the trailer because usually it's a third party and not the studio that's like actually making the movie. Um, but yeah, I'll have to check up on that. Um, anyway, so there's our little intro. We got all this going on. We have the bad guys are coming. Bowser's airship, I guess, just looks like a giant rock formation or something. Okay, I mean that's a design choice. Um, so there's that. Very boom. Oh yeah, like just Inception horns and stuff, and like I know that it kind of makes sense for movie trailers to be homogenized and they're all very similar and like, but yeah, it was sort of frustrating in this instance because I actually do like a lot of the animation we're seeing and a lot of the visuals, but meanwhile, the yeah, everything else about it, the actual editing and how it's put together, just seems so cliche and standard. So it's kind of pulling in the opposite direction for me. Anyway, this is actually one of my favorite little bits is when we get Kamek here. Who is it? Kevin Michael Richardson? I think. I'll have to double check. But anyway, just a nice little bit of, fluid animation here. Very expressive. And that's something that we can see in general for a lot of the characters is that they just seem to be very, how do we put this? They seem very soft visually, which is great. They seem very like malleable, especially in the face, which is great for expressivity, obviously. Um, but beyond that, like hitting things or some collision stuff in here, especially when Mario shows up, where it's like I don't know. It just looks higher quality than you might expect for a movie from Illumination. And we can talk about Illumination in a general sense a little bit later on. But for the moment, we'll just step through. I don't know why it has to buffer individual frames when I've already watched this far. But just a fun little bit of actually, can I just slow down the speed? Yeah, let's just slow down and watch it a little bit slower. Ooh, I don't think I want the audio so loud though. It looks great. The rigging looks really nice. It's just, just clearly really nice hand animation. And then another very big thing to talk about with this trailer is lighting. The lighting is very nice, and obviously this is something that's been a big part of, the advance of CG animation over the last, well, basically since CG animation has existed. But lighting is really getting to a point where it's just incredibly realistic, lifelike, if that's the right word, and very nice to look at. And you can do some very dramatic things with it. Awesome. That's a great tool for filmmaking. And yeah, throughout the trailer, I think the lighting looks excellent, but especially here, also just a lovely frame, very intimidating, very, what's the word? Ominous, I guess. Anyway, let's watch a little bit further. There's Kamek's little introduction, and there's Bowser, who just looks like Bowser. I don't feel like there were many creative choices in terms of like changing his character design or anything. There's a little bit with Mario, which we'll get to later. But yeah, like it's Bowser, and then he has his like Mordor legions of Koopas who don't seem all that into this, which is also kind of funny. We also get our first taste of Jack Black's actual Bowser voice acting, which I guess I should play here. But no, that's not the one. I want this button. Here. So he's he's lowering it a little bit. That doesn't sound like anything post-processing stuff. It just sounds like he's, as part of the performance, is lowering his voice a little bit. He could do something funny with that where he changes it later on if they want to make Bowser seem less intimidating, even though I don't get that vibe from the way they've set him up here. It seems like he's just supposed to be the big baddie throughout. Anyway, it's just something that he could do. Shady says, don't know how much Nintendo was involved with quality control. Well, here's the thing. And while I ramble about this for a bit, I will go ahead and let this play a little bit more. Sorry, the audio at half speed is not very good. Um, so I've heard a lot of stories of Nintendo being involved in other like movie and TV things in the past, specifically the recent past, where they were pretty involved and pretty helpful in terms of giving comments on like here's how our characters should look. And I think the big example or the story I heard was about Wreck-It Ralph, because Bowser is in Wreck-It Ralph as one of the bad guys. He's in like the group therapy thing. Um, and apparently they just had some really specific requests as to like what the scale of his model should be compared to the other, canon video game characters who happen to be in the same room with him. So like they are careful. They can be involved when they need to be. But then the other side of this, and one of the reasons why I think so many of us were worried about their collaboration with Illumination, is like Nintendo, especially Nintendo of Japan, can be very out of touch. They don't really know what's going on in the rest of the world. They're sort of an older company in terms of leadership. And so I was definitely worried, like, oh, they just went with Illumination because Illumination said, we can make this for you as cheaply as possible, right? So I was definitely concerned from that angle of like they don't understand that maybe this was not the studio to talk to. Although who else? Where else do you go for a big Hollywood animation? Like you can't go to Sony Animation, right? Warner, and they're not going to Pixar. Disney Pixar is not gonna make. It's not gonna make the Mario Brothers movie. Real quick, yeah, Shady said, oh yeah, I just forgot that Detective Pikachu even existed. I think most people have, which is sort of strange to me because I really liked it. It performed reasonably well in terms of like, financial performance, box office. And I thought that was a good looking movie too, especially in terms of effects. Now with that one, I don't know if it was Game Freak specifically or Creatures Inc., who have, or the real Pokemon people. If they took the reins there rather than Nintendo specifically. But that was a good looking movie. Yeah, that really got pulled off. Although I don't remember what studio even worked on that. Do you guys know who made Detective Pikachu? Purple says they should get Pharrell Williams like in Despicable Me. But that's the thing, Purple. Like that's also this isn't a terrible frame to freeze on. Oh look, Aurora Borealis, because why not? Very saturated. I don't think any of us is surprised by that element of this. Like modern CG animated movies or animated movies in general, really saturated. We used to have some desaturated alternatives out there. They don't really exist anymore. Everything's really bold, bold and brash color all the time. I'm not saying it looks bad, but yeah, this looks, the color palette is something I've seen many times before. That's fine. Fine. A nice ultra wide shot. It looks neat. Also, we can even just comment on the aspect ratio. Like this is what they're going with. They're going with letterboxed. So they are taking this reasonably seriously. I don't think the other Illumination movies, like specifically the Sing movies, I don't think those have been in letterboxed. Although that's just off the top of my head. I have no idea. Anyway, but yeah, as Purple was saying, they're get Pharrell Williams, like they're all these like just corny and really dated elements, or rather like cultural elements that immediately date a lot of Illumination movies. Even just all the pop songs they use in the Sing movies. They know no one's going to care about this 5-10 years from now. They know it's essentially disposable. And that was such a big concern when we heard that Nintendo was working with these guys, because I don't think any of us had a lot of faith that it was going to go well. Anyway, this is probably something a lot of people are looking at. Okay, so Mario's being transported to the Mushroom Kingdom from some other place. And it's like a Legends of the Hidden Temple looking gateway thing. This is some ancient structure, I guess. And here he comes. So does this line up with the theories that were going around many months ago of like, oh, it's just going to be like a real world person who gets transported to the Mario world? Because I hate that idea. And it might be what's happening, because we just like, where else would Mario have been? Is this like his first? Apparently, it's his first time in the Mushroom Kingdom. If it is canon Mario, so like, where is this an origin story? Oh, it's gonna be an origin story, isn't it? Oh, it's gonna be an origin story. I don't know if I like that. Anyway, Purple says Happy by Pharrell was pretty good. They're happy, like maybe glad by Pharrell Williams for this movie. Happy too, in other words. That's another thing we haven't gotten a taste of so far is what kind of music we're getting. This is not score music that we get in the trailer. It's just trailer music. It's just stuff uh, you know, scrounge together in like Cubase in a couple minutes. So I really hope they don't end up using licensed music, but they totally might. Should we watch a little bit more at regular speed? Yeah, why not? Why not? Who cares about the copyright stuff, right? Okay, so there he is. Let's look at Mario's face for a little bit. Here, dudes. Okay. You got to catch the parents up on the Mario lore. Oh my god. See that? There's so much to say, and I don't want to ramble too much. But I've seen a lot of Nintendo coverage. I know too much about like Nintendo as a company. And this is one of the frustrations a lot of people have with them, is that specifically with the Mario IP, not necessarily with Splatoon, not necessarily with Zelda and all the other properties they own, but with Mario, they really want it to be as samey as possible most of the time. And they really like the idea that everybody knows the original Mario. They know 8-bit Mario, even if they're old fogies. They know the concept. They know, the basics. They know Bowser's the bad guy. They know you rescue Princess Peach slash, oh no, Pauline, sorry, from Donkey Kong. And so they don't change a lot. And that was a big expectation for this, is like, oh, they're not going to do anything interesting with it. It's just going to be Mario rescuing Princess Peach from Bowser. Although I 100% guarantee that Princess Peach will be some kind of Fiona-style self-rescuing princess, at least to a degree. There is no way way on earth that one of these big Hollywood animation studios would execute like a damsel in distress princess at this point in time. Not going to happen in a million years. Anyway, Purple says that Mario looks like Chris Pratt. Kind of, yeah, which is not something I had really thought about. And it also, yet again, lends credence to the idea of like, oh, okay, so it's like a human character who gets zapped into Mario World, which I still hate that idea a bunch. The material textures here on like the fabrics and stuff, the shirts, gloves, hat, etc., look very nice. Hair looks very nice. But yeah, this is obviously a pretty big tweak compared to the standard Mario face. In fact, let me quickly bring up just like a basic 3D Mario render, like the standard one that's on everything. Just show me. Oh, this is on DeviantArt, but it looks like the official one. Actually, here, I'll put this like. Nope, we got nope. No, we got it. We got it. Here you go. Wider face, right? Again, it looks very soft in the way that it animates. Obviously, the hair, all the textures are more realistic. Hair looks way more realistic, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to also say that the mouth looks wider. I don't know. You can disagree with me on that one. And yeah, the eyes as well. I don't know. They seem rounder, right? These are relatively stretched out and like elongated. So they've made some changes. That is a thing. That's something that's going on. But overall, I don't hate the design really at all. Shady says there's a Super Princess Peach on DS. Strong Independent Peach is canon. That's true. Well, if they consider that game canon, I guess. But also, Thousand Year Door, isn't she also like? Doesn't she have agency in that game too? I think she like breaks out of wherever she's being held in that game. But it's been a very long time since I've looked at that. Anyway, let's watch a little bit more. Okay. Oh, so he specifically came out of a pipe then. That makes sense. It's not just some random portal. I don't know what this structure is supposed to look like. Maybe that outs me as a casual fan or something. And then like floating islands and stuff. They're mushrooms. It's not the most interesting landscape. Just seeing a bunch of mushrooms is kind of whatever. Um, but let's just keep moving. Uh huh. Okay. Fine. Yep. Okay. And then I guess Keegan Michael Key as Toad. And I am happy in that case that it really seems like they're tweaking his audio. They're doing some pitch adjusting. I'm happy about that. I was really worried about most of these actors they cast in the lead roles just sounding like themselves. Chris Pratt does in fact sound like himself quite a bit. But hey, here's another like, ultra wide shot. We get a big landscape, more floating islands, whatever. Again, not super interesting, but there's plenty of detail. The lighting is very nice, of course. And there's Peach's Castle way up on the hill. Okay, that is that. And I want to back up because this is where we get one of the only like suggestions of how Chris Pratt is going to play this. Okay. I'm not the biggest fan of that because it almost sounds like he's doing like the part of the cadence of the Charles Martinet. Is it? Yeah, Charles Martinet, of course, is the longtime voice of Mario. He's kind of doing some of the cadence, but he's not doing any of the accent, and I'm fine with him not doing the accent, but like the bounciness of it, it just sounds weird to me. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like maybe Chris Pratt shouldn't be voicing Mario. Just my 2 cents on that. It just sounds like he's not taking it seriously. It's one of those lines where you kind of feel like you're getting a window into what it was like in the recording booth. Do you know what I mean? Where like the vibe was just very casual, and he was just kind of like, this will just be a throwaway take. Mushroom Kingdom, here we come. So I'm not a big fan. Because all the other lines before this, Mario, he just sounds like a guy. It's okay. Whether the voice matches this model, that's also up for debate. Also, look, isn't this a different? This is a red Toad now. Was it not? It was a blue. Was it blue Toad before? No, it wasn't. He was just touching a blue mushroom. Sorry. Okay, never mind then. Anyway, and then we have this rise and then title reveal. Very intense. Really hyping it up. And then, oh yeah, this is I wish I could make these go away. I thought I turned them off. Let's just deal with it for a second. And then we get this, we hear a little tiny bit of Charlie Day's Luigi voice acting, and then we get what kind of seems like a Luigi's Mansion reference. Although the design of the doors and everything here, and of course the fact that we have just a bunch of dry bones, makes me think this is just Bowser World. This is Bowser Mordor. Yeah, let's listen to Charlie Day's little yelp here. That's all we get. That's all we get from him. Anyway, so that's what we have. That is the situation at the moment. I do like the penguins. The penguins look like the penguins from the games. That's fine by me. So there you go. Sorry, I'll put some of the music back on. But yeah, I don't know. How are people feeling about it? What are some of the thoughts? Yeah. I mean, I guess I've talked about how I've kind of felt split on the whole thing. I do think visually it's much better than I expected, and this is where I can briefly comment on like a more general feeling about Illumination because myself and plenty of other people have criticized Illumination and the quality of their output in terms of storytelling, the animation itself, yeah, writing, dialogue, voice acting, whatever. Um, and in fact, I made a video about Illumination a long time ago where I was essentially speculating it like, okay, what is it actually like to work there? I looked at some employee reviews of the company and it was a mixed bag. Some people were saying, oh, it's fine. I did my internship there and I got out and they were very nice. And then other people who were actually working for the company were saying things like, it's kind of a mess. Sometimes we're throwing out work, sometimes it's very rushed and you're putting in long hours. It's not great. So, yeah. I have no idea what it's actually like at Illumination, and I have a feeling that if someone really would start to say some negative things about the work conditions, they might just be out of work and get blacklisted from the industry or something, because that does kind of happen. Anyway, but we can criticize Illumination for a lot of things, and we should. Budgeting is probably the biggest thing. However, that's not to say that they don't have some really good talent on staff. Like, I wouldn't want to imply that just because a lot of Illumination's movies are kind of junk, that means the staff isn't good, that they don't know how to do XYZ. They absolutely do. They're professional animators. They know what they're doing. If they had all the money and time in the world, they could do whatever. And this brings up, I even made a little diagram here to illustrate the point, so I'll get in a second after I read Shady's comment that says, it'll probably end up being kind of okay, but making a ton of money, like the Sonic movies. Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable take. A lot of people are hyped up right now, but that take sounds much more realistic to me of like, yeah, it's fine. I still have no expectation that it's going to be doing something really interesting. There will be some neat action sequences in terms of how stuff is staged. And again, the animation itself seems pretty solid. That'll be fun to watch. But yeah, it's going to be a very standard story. And there will be tons of Easter eggs. Hooray. There will be analysis videos that say 20 things you missed in the Super Mario Brothers movie. But outside of that, anyway, but real quick, yeah, so on that point about Illumination, so we know that a big part of their business model is just, here it is just spending as little money as possible to make something that looks like it can compete with the big Hollywood movies. And this brings up a dynamic that I don't know. I've heard this put into many different contexts of like, okay, here are 3 goals. You can't have all 3 of them at once. So pick 2 of those goals, and that's what you can actually manage. So back in college, there was a joke of like, okay, you can get good grades, you can have a social life, or get a bunch of sleep. You can do 2 of those things. You can't do all 3 of them at once. So you have to pick 2. You have to prioritize. And specifically in the case of entertainment production, whether it's movies or video games, I heard it put this way by, I think, Tim Schafer of Double Fine. And basically he said, well, when you're making a game, you want it to be good. You want to get it under budget, right? You don't want to spend all the money in the world. You want to hit your deadline. You want to be able to make it in a reasonable amount of time, and you want to treat your staff well. But it's not always possible to do all 3 of those things at once, right? And specifically, a lot of game studios will just go ahead and make life worse for the people working on the project because they just won't fight back, or they don't have the ability to. There's no unions, blah, 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 blah. So in the case of like a lot of Illumination stuff, it really just seems to be that they're, prioritizing their deadlines, and spending as little money as possible. That makes me worried that in terms of like staff well-being and working conditions, it makes me worry that things might not be the best, but that's just speculation. Obviously, I don't have any insider information there. But anyway, just a point I wanted to touch on very quickly, especially because I probably won't be making a video rather, about this movie, at least until it's fully released. So there's that. Anyway, returning to Shady's comment on like just that it'll probably make make a lot of money like the Sonic movies. Probably. Then again, I thought that Detective Pikachu would make all the money in the world, and it really didn't. It did fine. But yeah, it really baffled me at how much money the Sonic movies have made, and I stand by the fact that they're just not good movies at all, and that fandom deserves a lot better, and they're just not getting it. And that's one thing I will say right away. This looks 100 times better, at least 100 times better than the Sonic movies. For one thing, it's fully animated. I have no idea why they opted to do the Sonic movies hybrid animation live action. It just seems like an objectively bad decision. But yeah, I don't know. I do have confidence that this thing will perform well financially. Just a guess. But yeah, I agree with that comment. I don't know. Is there anything else to say on this one? Should we just kind of move on? I did want to talk briefly about the teaser trailer for the Little Mermaid remake, especially in the wake of the Pinocchio remake backlash. It seemed like something worth doing, but yeah, if anyone has any additional comments on Mario movie trailer, although, you know, as we were saying, maybe you're just sick of it at this point because everybody's talking about this trailer lately. But yeah, some decent frames. Color is fine. There he is. There's animated Mario. And there's the mushrooms. Boy, those mushrooms are gonna get old. I'm sure they will take us to different lands soon enough. Cool. Anyway, will this get claimed? Probably. Ooh, here's some spice already. Okay, anyway, so this slipped by without my even noticing. This is almost a month ago, and I didn't hear about it. I didn't hear anybody talking about it, but we did get a teaser trailer for the Little Mermaid remake. And not surprisingly, it's already gotten some controversy. There's some troll people associated with it, and also just people who don't think it looks very good. But let's read this comment and take it as fact. To everyone confused with the comments, when this video first came out, people started to give a lot of criticisms, so Disney started to delete it all at the same time that a bunch of similar positive comments started to appear, saying, "I love when Ariel did this." So instead of saying what they meant, they started to play along by saying they love something that isn't there to mock or protest. Oh, boy. Oh, okay, here we go. The part where Ariel says, "It's mermaiding time," got me crying. Okay, gotcha. So people are trolling. That shouldn't be too surprising to any of us. And this is actually one where I really doubt that we could play it without getting a copyright claim. So you know what? I'm just going to play it at half speed and share some quick comments, and that'll be that. All right? So here we go. I don't know if any of us were really questioning whether Disney would eventually remake The Little Mermaid. They hold nothing sacred, and they know that they can make money off of these remakes, especially if they get a full theatrical release instead of being released straight to streaming. And yep, here we are. Arguably the very first of the Disney Renaissance movies is being remade, might even be finished by now. And, well, kind of just looks like nature documentary footage, right? Yep. So here we are underwater. Yeah. You could pause there. It's neat. It's creepy. So I don't know if it fits the tone, but seeing a bunch of like sunken, destroyed ships is really cool. Very creepy, sort of a thalassophobia image, right? Love those. Let's keep it going. Here we are. And there she is. She's got her tail going. The tail is definitely the most colorful thing in all of the trailer. Huh? From Disney. Oh, surprise. I mean, we already had that logo at the beginning, but did it look like she was wearing like a fabric tail for a second there? Maybe I'm just being nitpicky. Okay. All right, there's, yep, and here's her special room where she keeps all her look at this stuff. Okay. And then a light at the end of the tunnel. Symbolic. Oh, there's Flounder. I didn't even notice Flounder the last few times I watched this. Okay. Okay. And that's pretty much it. We just get the title and then a little clip of her singing part of the big famous song. For one thing, I don't know who the actor is. So there's that, and it is getting a full theatrical release in May, late May of next year. I assume they're aiming for like Memorial Day weekend here in the US, but just a hunch. Anyway, here's Ariel. I don't know how old this person is. I don't know how old the character of Ariel is supposed to be. Where should we freeze it? Oh, look how neat. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, that's a great freeze frame. Shady says, is Eric going to end up being the twist villain as a very subversive take on Disney princesses? Could 100% see that happening, although I don't know, they might consider that as being like a little too close to the Frozen twist, right? The first love interest whose name I forget because I don't care ends up being the villain after they have their whole typical Disney love song romance thing. So it wouldn't surprise me at all just in terms of like them making a move like that. But then what do? It's what is she aiming for? And it does bring up the question of like, okay, is it possible for Disney to do like a straight love story? I mean, obviously aimed at a younger audience in most cases, but you know what I mean? Boy meets girl scenario. Can they still do that? Or is that considered just bad in general and that they shouldn't be doing this? We know that they're not going to do something as interesting as like Eric is a woman now, meaning the character is a woman, and Ariel is attracted to women. I don't think Disney is anywhere near that. Pardon my voice. But yeah, we know they like to do their historical revisionism via the remakes of these older movies. So definitely a possibility. I don't know whether I think that particular choice is likely. But yeah, I think most of what's been getting me down so far is the visual choices. I mean, obviously we don't have any insight into the story so far. We're just seeing things that were in the original, so we have no lead on that. But we learn a lot about the visual direction of the movie from this trailer. And even if we just like scan through like this, even just look at the little previews, it's so dark. It's so dark and heading in the opposite direction of the Mario movie and all the other, animated movies we were just talking about that are hyper saturated. This is generally desaturated, or at the very least, the palette is not very vibrant at all. And from a certain angle, okay, it's all live action with some CG creatures and stuff. So maybe they figured the art direction would not have worked if they tried to make things a little bit more colorful. Or the other possibility here is that it's going to be some kind of giant visual shift. So that like, okay, we're with Ariel in the beginning portion of the movie where she's unhappy with her surroundings and she's bored of all this stuff. So we as the audience are also supposed to hate the environment that she's in from a visual perspective. And then when she goes up, in fact, we'll get that. Let's go back to that shot Okay, here's some color. We're getting different colors all of a sudden. It could absolutely be a situation where as soon as she's up above sea level, we do get our saturation. We get our color all of a sudden. That would be fine. That's valid, although I think it would make this beginning portion kind of a slog because I wouldn't say it's ugly. Like, it's all executed very well from a technical perspective. The design is neat enough, but it also is just kind of boring. And it was the same issue with the Lion King remake for me, at least. It's just like, why make it boring? Why make it less interesting visually? With all this money and all these resources, why is that the creative choice you make, to be less creative? And even, yeah, just seeing Flounder here, it's like, yeah, he just looks like a flounder. Like, what did we expect? And it's gonna look really awkward to see him singing and dancing as just a very realistic fish. It's gonna be really weird. Shady says they're going to make it very clear that the romance took longer than 3 days, maybe even a couple weeks. That's progressive right there. If anything's progressive, it's implying that you find your one true love and that the one true love exists over the course of several weeks as opposed to 24 hours or so. That's a very good point. But yeah, and honestly, I mean, I don't have too much to say about this, and as we got a taste of here, there's a lot going on. There are the trolls. There are definitely people being very harassy about casting. We don't need to talk about all that or say why that's terrible. But those are not the issues. I don't have issues with casting here. I'm sure they're even going to do decent casting for the fish, and Sebastian will be someone decent. Flounder will be someone decent. They tend to nail casting just fine. But yeah, the art direction, the visuals are just so, especially for a teaser. Tease us, please. This is the part where you entice us to come see the movie. But all the enticing happening here is just, we know you've seen the older movie. We know you care. We know that you're curious to see what we've changed and what we haven't. And beyond that, I certainly don't see anything new and exciting. I don't see anything. It's just, look, sea turtles. Here's some CG sea turtles swimming around. I could literally just watch nature documentary footage and feel like I've gotten my fill of, excellent footage of sea turtles swimming around. And maybe they're at a disadvantage because this whole scene is at night. So, of course, everything underwater is dank and dark and kind of ugly. But, like, they made that choice. That it was their decision to show this footage specifically. So, sorry. I'm getting a little bit, wound up about this. But it's not different. It's not a different discussion than the discussion we've had about all the other Disney remakes. Sorry, I'll deal with the porn bots while I continue to... to rail about Disney's decisions here. And I wouldn't even call them creative decisions. It's like, it's the lack of creative decisions. It's frustrating. Can't see that dislike ratio. I wonder what it is. Anybody want to take a guess? I have a feeling it's not the best. Why didn't this work? Oh. Anyway, well, that's those two things. Those are those two relatively recent trailers. And I don't know. I also felt like the Little Mermaid stuff tied into some of the thoughts that I was sharing in the last stream about the Pinocchio remake, and I just don't... Even that movie was relatively colorful, and there was some creative stuff happening in terms of how different CG elements were designed. Some kind of intrigue, a lot of talent for sure. Yeah, I just don't feel any of that at all in Little Mermaid, but that underlying... annoyance, I guess, or frustration of why are you doing this at all, and why are these the choices you're making. That's been consistent through all of the Disney remakes so far, the live action remakes, that is. Um, so yeah, that's what we've got. That's sort of the situation. And the Mario movie, yeah, I'm on board with what you guys were saying earlier. I'm sure it'll be completely acceptable. Um, there will be a couple of instances or like specific scenes that get heavily memed or something like that after release. Um, but and even that got pushed back because wasn't it? Yeah, it was originally set for release holiday of this year, and now it's next spring. So we have to wait even longer to find out. Oh darn! What are the comments on this one, by the way? This is a GameSpot upload. Luigi just held off an entire horde of dry bones at the end, with just his back against the door. That just shows how powerful he really is. Ha 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 ha. Very funny. I like how they made Bowser feel powerful again. Thanks, Doug. He's honestly felt like kind of a joke for most Mario games, despite being the final boss. But in this, you actually feel like he is a threat until the end of the movie when he won't be a threat. You know that's what's going to happen, right? Everybody knows. By the end of the movie, he's just going to be a buddy. He's just going to be everybody's pal. He's going to be redeemed. Oh, we're going to get the Bowser backstory. That's absolutely going to happen. Someone's talking about the awesome texture work. Mad props for Illumination for pulling out this masterpiece. Wow, it's a masterpiece now. Okay. The animators deserve a raise. I mean, yeah. You guys need a raise because this is just astonishing. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. Okay. Little bit hyped up. I don't agree with all that by any stretch. But yeah, people are excited. I'm fine with that. I don't want to rain on their parade. But anyway, that's all that stuff. I hope you have enjoyed this journey through recent movie trailers, animated stuff, maybe aimed at children, but that also a lot of adults like. So I probably won't stream too much longer. I do have quite a few things that I need to take care of here on my Friday evening, unfortunately. But this has been a lot of fun. Shady says the animators deserve to not be laid off. There you go. That's sort of the bare minimum, you know. And yeah, that's been a big thing lately across all of entertainment is the cutbacks, which is something that I talked about a little bit in the video on not subscriptions, but oh my gosh, creator crash, content crash stuff that's potentially going to be coming up this next year. Sad, very sad, but yeah, it's likely that we'll be seeing a lot more cutbacks in entertainment specifically. So here's, fingers crossed that everybody's doing okay at Illumination. And like I said earlier, in fact, like I said in, it wasn't earlier, it was in my ages old video on Illumination. If anybody working for Illumination feels like talking to me, anonymously, of course, I am way down. So please get in touch somehow, maybe through maybe a comment or something. And that actually brings me to a quick note. This is something I should have mentioned a long, long time ago. But for anyone currently watching, anybody watching the archive later on, I have made the decision to open up the channel Discord to everybody. So previously, I had reserved the Discord for patrons only, and it's been very nice that way. Like, it's been fun and having some nice conversations over there. But due to a few different reasons, I just think it would be a lot of fun to let everybody in. If people just want to hang out and talk about the things that we talk about here on the channel or anything else, that would be great, especially because I haven't been in the comments of my videos very actively for quite a while. So the Discord would be a really great way for people to get in touch, or if they have suggestions or questions, whatever, they want to chat with other people. So everybody's welcome. Obviously, you need a Discord account, but those are free. I have put an invite link in the description of this stream right now that you can click. It's only good for 7 days, so when that's up, I'll make another one and share that around. But yeah, if anybody at all wants to join the Discord and just kind of hang out, you're welcome to. And I will hop on there hopefully later today and just make sure that everything's in order. So yeah, definitely something I should have mentioned at the top, but I just got so caught up in all of our incredible discussion here and analysis of these trailers. So yeah, there you go. It's in the description. Worth checking out. But yeah, I think that's just about everything. Yeah. This has been a fun one, though. I've really enjoyed this. Sorry that it's been a while since the last stream, but hopefully I'll find some kind of schedule or something. Be a little bit more consistent with the streaming. But cool. All right. Well, start to wind it down. I'll leave it on for a little bit longer for chat lag and stuff. But yeah, if anybody has any other comments or questions, etc., feel free. And I will browse around on the internet for not game ROMs at all. I'm not getting game ROMs off of the internet. I am doing very wholesome things. Also, sorry that the keyboard's so loud. But I like the switches. Okay. Yes, that should be fine. And yeah, outside of that, yeah, I as I said at the very beginning, I do have some other videos on the way. Hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll see. And it's specifically stuff that is more focused on animation. So if you're not a big fan of me talking about YouTube and larger entertainment industry stuff, then hopefully you will enjoy those. But yeah, I think that brings the stream to a close. As always, live, really appreciate it. And as I mentioned earlier, I wouldn't be streaming if no one was here, so that's a big plus. And thank you to everyone watching the archive version later on. Even if you're falling asleep to it, that helps the channel as well.